power days. Okay, so we are going to find our power days today, and let me share my screen. Share my screen. Let me give you this one, my little hand one. This is probably, I'm going to go through it in detail for you all. Let me get out of the way, maybe. Okay. It's as basic as this. Can everybody see my screen? Just if not, somebody come through and yes, okay, good. All right, so this is just a little hand-drawn thing that I'm going to correlate a lot with this, but basically this is like my year calendar, but I put it this way so we can see those aspects. So you can put these days in your calendar. So I'm going to give you the short version and then I'll unfold it. And I've talked about this before, but it's the new year and I want to talk about it again because this is good to know now. And now that you're getting your calendars for the new year, to make little highlights on these days. Now this one is mine and my birthday is April 6th and the sun on that day is 16 degrees Aries. 16 degrees. That's all I need to know. You don't have to know very much about astrology or anything. You just have to know how to get these days. You don't even have to know. That's like if you have an ephemeris or you can go online and you get one, you don't have to know what it is. You just have to know how to access it. This was so cool. So I'm just going to go through this on this level and then I'll go through it in a little bit more detail. But if you know your birthday, of course, you'll see that along the year, each day that the sun is in 16 degrees of the next sign and the next one each month, wherever it's at 16, because it will be, and when it's in Taurus, it'll be at 16 degrees Taurus, and that will make an aspect to my sun at 16 Aries. When it's in Gemini, it'll make an aspect, at 16 Gemini, it'll make an aspect to my sun in Aries. When it's in 16 degrees Cancer, it'll make a certain aspect to my sun in Aries. And I've charted them here. And you'll see that it follows or unfolds just, of course, the natural aspects going every 30 degrees. So that's every month. But because the months aren't equal in length, it varies a little bit. But you'll see it's only a little bit. So on my birthday itself and the few months on the one side of it, it's about the same day. You'll see that both March, actually, if you go up all the way to the top in December or so January, if you can read that, it's on January 7th that the sun will be at 16 Aries. It'll be February 6th that it'll be, not Aries. It'll be Capricorn, but it'll square my Aries. Anyway, I'll go through it a little bit more, but just notice the days. Okay, 7, 6, 7, 6, 7, 7. And then in July, now we jump over to 9, just the way it kind of rolls around because of the shorter in February and just how it all moves there. But anyway, then it's 9. And this is for me. Everybody will be just a little bit different. So July, August, September, it's all the 9. And then October, it goes one more ahead to the 10th and then 9 and 9. So my point is that it's pretty much around your birthday. But you can see the difference here from my birthday, the 6th, to the very farthest away, when it's in Libra there, it's on the 10th. So we'll find how to get everybody's and where to go to do that. All right, now, oops, I didn't put my sextile on this before I took a picture. What is missing? I couldn't make a real nice sextile, but you'll see over there in June 7th, I whited out. It was blobbed out and I took the picture before I took the next sextile. Sorry about that, but it should be a sextile right here, just like it is up there. All right, you probably noticed that, you astute astrologers. Okay, so let me get another screen for you. And it is there we go, this word. Can I do it? Oh, it's a little slow, bear with me. All right. Okay, I think you can see this now. All right, so here's our little steps to finding your power days. You're going to find the degree of your sun, and I told you mine was 16, so whatever yours is, you should know, have that in your head. Then we're going to use an ephemeris, and I'll show you that in a minute when you look that up. You're going to look up the day of the month that that degree is on for every month. Okay, then you're going to apply the order of the aspects to know which month will give you each energy. The conjunct is the date itself, your birthday, and then the first month from your birthday going forward, and then the same a month going backward, they are both the 30 degrees or semi-sextile from your birthday. They'll be the semi-sextile, 30 degrees. Then the second month from your birthday, 2 ahead or 2 back, will be 60 degrees away from your birthday. The third month after your birthday or 3 months before your birthday will be 90 degrees away, and that will be the square. 4 months after your birthday or 4 months before your birthday will be the trine or 120 degrees. And 5 months forward from your birthday or 5 months back will be the 150 degree or quincunx or inconjunct. And then opposite, the 6 months, there's only one, will be opposite or the opposition from your birthday. Okay, now once you hear it, it sounds like duh. But again, we have to look at the ephemeris because you'll see on how I showed you on mine, the date is just a little bit. And this year, actually, when actually in 2023, when it comes around to my birthday next year, it actually will be the day after my birthday, you know, that it's actually at that the sun is at that degree. Anyway, let's look at this here. You'll see the conjunction, which is your birthday. And then on either side of that is the semi-sextile or the 30 degrees. Now let me unpack this while we're looking at it this way. That is, as you know, it doesn't have anything in common with that, the sign, okay? The one in the middle doesn't have anything on either side of it that is in common. So I'll give you the explanation of mine. Mine is Aries, a cardinal sign. And if we went behind, we would find the mutable, which is Pisces. And if we go forward from it, we would find the fixed sign, which would be Taurus. And that is the same on any three. You will always find that group of cardinal, fixed, mutable, or it could be, you know, the different arrangement. Mine was mutable, cardinal, fixed, because, you know, it's the same with Pisces. But anyway, you'll find that. So that means adjustment. It's your next door neighbor. It's literally your next door neighbor. You may have a cool next door neighbor, you may not. You have to adjust to them. The only thing that's kind of more, I would say, what's the word? More that you have in common is that it's in the same season, or in this case of your next door neighbor, you're in the same neighborhood, you know, where when we get to the inconjunct down here on the bottom, it's also adjustment, but it's more adjustment because it's not even the same time of year and it's a different neighborhood over here. So it's just totally just, you know, it's just nothing in common. So we'll look at that in a second. So anyway, either side of your birthday, you have an adjustment, you know, the month before, and it's just, it doesn't flow toward you. It doesn't flow away. It's just adjustment. I'll try to think of some better words as we go on. You have to adjust to it. It doesn't fit. Nothing about it is in common with you. You know, again, my birth sign was cardinal, and then ahead of me was, you know, going forward is fixed, and it's instead of fire, it's earth. Going behind me, it's water, mutable. So, okay. Now, the next one going out, you have the sextile, and that's your 60 degrees. And what you have really in common on these, you don't have a lot either, but you have the either masculine or feminine. You know, what I failed to mention on the last one, they're opposites. So if you know Aries is masculine, the sign on either side of those would be feminine. But then we would go masculine again for the next one. So it's like, yay, so, a little bit of commonality there. So the sign then goes, okay, so for me, for Aries, which is, it's good to show you this way, just because it's the way the zodiac unfolds and it's easy to talk about. So 2 signs forward from Aries is Gemini. 2 signs back would be Aquarius. So you do this with your own chart. I'm just giving you the overlay. So those signs would be a little bit more in common. But look at, again, this is kind of interesting. We have, if I say that two signs ahead of Aries is Gemini, and Gemini is mutable, right? Back to the mutable. and Aries is cardinal. And then if we go the other one back, you know, the sign 2 back, which was Aquarius, that's fixed. So there again, the qualities are mixed, but they're opposite of the signs before. This, you know, that's why it's so kind of interesting to know that. So, you know, if you know those elements, it's like, all right, this is different from me this way, and that one is different from me that way. But I get along better with that one because it's at least the same polarity, kind of. Yeah. So you'll find that these months, things that, you know, the better the sextiles will flow easier because it's half of a trine. The semi-sextiles and the inconjuncts and the squares and the opposition will not. So just knowing that going into battle. All right, then coming out, the very next one would be the square. And now you at least have the quality in common, but it's harsh. You know, the quality. So with me, with cardinals, so now my squares are with all cardinal signs, or opposition it would be. You know, you have the square and then the opposition, the square. All those hard angles are with those same. Or the best way to really think about it, I shouldn't say it that way. There are many ways to think about it. One way, it is harsh, and a square is a square. It hits you over the head. But it is, you know, these things are cornerstone for structure, for balance, for boundaries. And if you look at it that way, and you take on a much more spiritual aspect of these as they occur, then you don't get slammed with this as much in life. It's when you are all materialistic and keep focused on that is when they become harsh to you and difficult. And again, it's easy to say, because when you're going through things, you know, because we live in the physical, so it's hard to separate that and to see what the big lesson is, some of these things that we go through. But you could see by the trip that the sun takes around every month, I'm sorry, every year, you know, the moon every month, but the sun every year, that we go through these cycles all the time. So for me, you know, the spring, fall, and summer and winter are those key points. And it's like where, so if I know a upcoming square is going to be happening where things can challenge my sun, my identity, then I can go into battle with that. It's like, I know I got some tough shit coming up on this one, and I've got to put my foot down. I've got to be on my game, or I'm not going to be, I don't want to not gear up because I would be bounced around. If I'm kind of from a more spiritual point of view, you see the lesson, you see the structure, you see the thing, and you work within it. It's like, I know when I had to make this structure, I had to draw a circle, and I had to do it on page so you can see it. And I had to make things fairly good where you can see it. And that was, you know, it's like I had to have that structure to make this. And if I didn't have some structure, it wouldn't have made sense at all to you. So moving on, then we finally get a reprieve. You know, it goes on to the 120 degree, and you get 2 of those, and those are your trines, your trine months. Those are the ease and flow. Those are the things that if you could plan a vacation, if you could plan to, if you could plan anything to try to go your way, or to get your idea, agenda, or something across for yourself, or promotional thing that you're doing, anything that you really need to have some flow, non-encumbered actions, unrestricted efforts, plan it for when you have your trines, your trine month, and even closest to those days as possible, because that is now your same element as your sun. Now, let me give you one little caveat about that. If you're not a heavy sun signed person, this is going to maybe be more malleable for you. If your sun is just into the sign, or just at the, even worse, just at the nth of the sign. If your sun is at 29 degrees, it so wants to be on to the next. You have to kind of look at the next sign as well. Or if you're at 0 degrees, you kind of look at some of the overtones of the other side. But with this information, we're not even giving you anything about signs or anything. It's just the days. You know, when your sun is at that day, that's going to be significant to you. All right. Sprinkle a little salt on that part again. So those of you that are right on the beginning of it, it's a bit of a transition, or those of you right on the end, it's just a little bit more of it gets a little more complicated, because it's not so cut and dry. Nonetheless, moving on, at the very close of the year, or opposite of you, this is I'd say that's the worst time. You get inconjunct, opposition, inconjunct. So those are the times that's sort of the weakest to your sun's energy, that your drive, the way people see you, how you're pushing through and all that is maybe not as effective, or it could make it really effective because you got to try really hard. But there's going to be a lot of stuff that just won't mix. That's a very much of adjustment. You get an adjustment, and then you got to oppose, and then you get adjustment again, and then you get the trine. So those interesting months as we go along, and I'm just going to go in order, I'm going to go clockwise just so while I'm showing it to you. So, there's your birthday, and then you have the next month is your semi-sextile. Then you have your sextile. And again, these are going male, female as well. So you can see that the trine will be a good one. But then the opposition is also the same element, or I should say the same quality, polarity. Thank you. Sorry, the same polarity. So that is a little bit easier than the squares. Squares, I think, are a bit harsh. So on those months, those are the things to just kind of note through the year. And let me just give you these, the symbols there. There is a semi-square. There is the sesquiquadrate. And these are both just a little bit, these are more minor aspects. But the semi-square is, you can see it's half of a square, and you can see the sign is just kind of like a half of a square. Instead of it just being an L, they made it, a little bit more slanted. So that is that partial square, which is still irritating. This is what's in another interesting angle. We don't talk about it a whole lot, just because it's probably the second level of astrology, but I'm going to mention it because it is there. And these are other, we can divide the circle by different amounts, and we get these different angles. So 45, is half that square, and it's an odd and a harsh kind of angle. This can be something that's a sign and a half away, because if you think the sign is 30, half of that again is another half a sign. So if you have something at the beginning of a sign, the semi-square would be, the middle of the next sign. If you were at 0, let's say. So if you had 0 Aries, then 15 Taurus would be a semi-square to that. Now, to add it, we've got to do the other way too. We subtracted 45 degrees from the square. Now, if we add 45 degrees to the square, we have that 90 plus 45. We have the 135 degree, or the sesquiquadrate. It's harder to say than what it really is. So it's just a little bit, it's that same energy, but a little bit more distance. It's on the other side of the square. That's all it is. All right. I just wanted to explain that while they were there. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing that, and I'm going to stop that.